I think that SickKids touches more people than we realize.
When you walk into that hospital and you walk down the hallway with all the little stickers of children's footprints, it just goes straight to your heart.
If you are not attached to the patients you take care of, then you better do something different.
SickKids to me never felt like a hospital. It just felt like a second family.
SickKids just makes people feel at home. It's just such a great community.
Some of the things that I've seen even just in the last 2 years leave me often quite in awe.
I don't think that there's another hospital that could do the type of work that we're doing.
Something that we kind of figured out pretty quickly was that we weren't just dealing with any hospital, we were dealing with the mecca of hospitals.
The mecca of children's hospitals. That's how I saw SickKids.
Toronto is the most exciting city in the world right now. SickKids is the heart of Toronto.
There's something intrinsically magical about a hospital that transcends its borders, if you will. What we see at University Avenue and Elizabeth Street is simply the world's best children's hospital.
I am beyond thrilled to celebrate this extraordinary milestone with all of you. This is a story about a partnership that fueled the future. Together, SickKids Hospital and SickKids Foundation charted an unstoppable course that continues to make history. One scientific innovation after another with one simple vision: healthier children, a better world. This film is a testament of how SickKids Foundation and SickKids Hospital changed a city and then changed the world. Roll the cameras.
Well, you know, the history of SickKids is almost 150 years now. It's got a very strong history of many, many scientific and medical leaders.
There is an intrinsic pride that this community has in having SickKids. You know, let me share the story of the fact when we opened the building in 1949, post-World War II, Toronto's population was 500,000 people, that 85,000 people lined up on University Avenue to take a tour of the new hospital because they were so proud of SickKids. It represented just the very best of what Canada can offer the world. And often as Canadians, we're not great at trumpeting some of our great success stories. And for me, SickKids is that great success story. But there was one big deficit at SickKids, and that deficit was our physical facilities. You cannot practice 21st century medicine in buildings that were designed in the 1940s.
Imagine a world-leading hospital, not that long ago, desperately trying to keep their top talent researchers who had no space. They had nowhere to work. They were getting grants for the incredible science and discovery, and we couldn't give them the space to work within.
Well, the story of the foundation is fundamental to the story of SickKids. You know, but for the foundation, SickKids would be a lovely community hospital. The support of philanthropy over 50 years has had a staggering impact on the hospital.
SickKids, within the Canadian landscape, I think, has done an amazing job of raising funds so that we can do the projects that are not necessarily attractive to funding agencies.
The foundation support for our scientists allows each one of them to take a risk, to think outside of the box, and pursue a potential high-risk, yet high-reward project that generally doesn't get supported by other federal grant mechanisms because it might be too risky.
We're implementing treatments that have never been done before. We're implementing surgical approaches that have never been tried. So to develop these therapies, to test these therapies, to implement them, and to follow these children to make sure that these therapies work is a very resource-intensive process. So SickKids Foundation is very much in tune with the needs of the hospital, and there is very much a symbiosis between the clinicians and scientists and the activities of the foundations.
local to global, both in terms of our reputation, in terms of the reach that we now have around the world. We do research collaborations around the world. We accept patients. We do international development projects to improve health systems elsewhere in the world. And many of our employees at SickKids loved that opportunity because it really complemented their understanding of how you deliver world-class healthcare.
I don't think without the support of the foundation, we would be able to make these strides.
It's the most common fatal childhood genetic disease, the biggest killer of children after cancer. This man could hold the key for a cure. He's Dr. Lapchi Choi. Early in September, when his team at Toronto's Sick Children's Hospital announced that they'd found the defective gene that causes cystic fibrosis, they were greeted like heroes. The announcement made headlines around the world.
Without going through all the technical details, which would probably take another 7 days and nights, I would just tell you the end result. That is, we think we have isolated a gene responsible for cystic fibrosis.
The discovery of the cystic fibrosis gene will allow major advances to take place in the diagnosis, carrier detection, and treatment of patients.
For parents of children with CF, the discovery means optimism.
It turns the hope into reality. Finally, it gives you something to hope for. Better control, better treatment. The cure is a long way off, I think. But the treatment and control, that could be everything.
It was just an ordinary day, driving with my mom, running errands in the car. And some news comes over the radio, and the word cystic fibrosis comes up. So our ears all perk up. And it says there's a breakthrough. The Hospital for Sick Children made a breakthrough in discovering the gene that causes cystic fibrosis. And this is something that we knew that if we could figure out the gene, we could figure out how to actively work towards a cure and work towards miracle medicine that could change everything. And I remember my mom's foot almost coming off the brake, like she wanted to slow down time. I remember the car slowing down and her listening in and turning it up and hearing the words, "The researchers have found the gene." Later that night, I found myself crying. Very mature tears. A 6-year-old should not have to worry about their life expectancy. But as every time the news presents cystic fibrosis, they present the cruel reality of cystic fibrosis because it is a beast of a disease. And I'd hear these things. 6-year-olds hear everything. So I knew very well that I had some pretty scary stuff ahead of me.
This is the lab where the discovery was made. It's here on the 11th floor of the Hospital for Sick Children. It's not the biggest lab, the equipment isn't the best. The people at the hospital say the key to the discovery was how scientists applied new ideas to conventional methods. And they say that if a cure is ever to be found, it's the new ideas that will once again be the key to the formula.
I was there in the laboratory in 1989 when the cystic fibrosis gene was discovered at SickKids. It was arguably the biggest discovery ever made in Canada and perhaps in worldwide. And then many scientists, including many at SickKids for the next 2 decades, worked on developing a drug that would correct a protein that was missing in people that had cystic fibrosis. So it's a treatment that didn't exist before. It's a new way to move the lives forward of these people that have this really devastating disease.
Breakthrough treatment for patients with cystic fibrosis could be available in the U.S. in less than 2 weeks. And for the 4,300 Canadians living with the fatal genetic disease, the news brings hope to a community where no cure exists.
So at the age of 30, I'm hearing similar news come across. At this time, it's the internet, not the radio, that this massive breakthrough has happened for cystic fibrosis. I was at the point where I was as bad as a person could be. I was getting towards the point of palliative care. I was being evaluated for a double lung transplant. I was working with 28% lung function. I lost the ability to walk on my own. I was on full-time oxygen and full-time IV medication. This medicine came out, and I was lucky enough to be the first person in Canada to be given this breakthrough med. And within 4 hours of taking the medicine, my entire body started to transform and change. The word miracle is an understatement. I know in my heart I would not be here today without that medicine. I never thought I'd be a mom. I never thought I would travel the world. I never thought I'd get married. All of these big milestones I get to reach, I didn't think I was going to be here to see that. Because of these breakthroughs, I've lived, I feel like 100 lives at this point, when I was barely going to live one.
I also have my own SickKids story. I am a survivor of a twin who was a SickKids patient who died almost 32 years ago. But I get to wear him here on my heart every day. It's his heartbeat, his last heartbeat. So I understand and I relate and I know what it's like firsthand to live in fear and worry and uncertainty.
My Uncle Billy was my dad's younger brother, and he had cystic fibrosis, so he ended up living till about 30, I want to say, so he never really got to watch me grow up playing hockey or anything like that. I think it puts like a lot of things in perspective for myself and just life in general and how fragile that it really is.
I got Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's cancer with the lymph nodes. Well, there were times in my mind that, like at the beginning, I thought that this was going to be a long period of time and I wasn't going to recover well and that I wouldn't be able to play hockey or anything. But at the end, I realized, well, there's a lot of people who have it worse than me who have still made it through, so I think I can make it through too. Yeah, I love hockey so much. Hockey's my passion. And Austin Matthews is a role model because he just helps a lot of people. And he also plays hockey, and that's a bonus too.
And that's what it's all about, honestly, is, you know, for those couple minutes that you spend with them or hour or whatever it may be, is just to almost get their mind off of, you know, not what they're going through and, you know, just have fun with it, try to keep it light and, you know, put a smile on their face and let them know that, you know, they're not going through it alone.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's often not always happy endings. And part of the good, the bad, and the ugly is being there to walk alongside these families and help them through their most difficult days. And whether it's a good outcome or not a good outcome, I'm a true believer in that there's beautiful moments that can be made and that every moment can be a memory. Whether it's a recording of a heartbeat, handprints and footprints or hand molds, taking kids outside for the first time or the last time. It's a really nice way to give families things to look forward to through resources, through people, through supplies that, you know, come so nicely from the foundation support. Every penny counts and every person's involvement makes a difference.
So at the beginning of my chemotherapy treatment plan, I wanted to give back to SickKids Hospital to help sick kids, help other kids who are like me, who are going through tough times. And I started making rainbow balloon bracelets with me and my friends and family. And we first set a goal of $10,000. And within 3 days, we raised $18,000.
So it's all of these supporters, from the $20 donations, from people who just lend their time, to the multi-million-dollar donations that again play into what SickKids is. And SickKids is an organization with the most incredible mission statement in the world: healthier children, a better world.
For someone that's thinking of supporting sick kids, I think what a magical thing to do, what a wonderful gift I'm 38 next month. The only reason why I've got to be here is because of donations, because of people being so generous.
We can all rise above the toughest times with acts of kindness. So whatever you can do, you should do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Very early on when I came to SickKids, I realized what an unbelievable gift we have with our foundation to help us tell the story of our big vision.
The new future is all around precision child health and being able to provide very tailored approaches to every child. And there is such excitement in what that future can hold.
This is the paradigm shift, and we are using our institution to hopefully create this blueprint of how you're going to do it.
We've done more than move the dial. We made some transformational discoveries that have changed the way we understand ourselves.
We have done many first at SickKids that has changed the lives of children around the world. And we continue to do many first. And that's the privilege of working at SickKids.
The families that I see have been told over and over again that there's nothing that could be done. And I guess the message that I would say to the foundation is that they are providing hope for families.
No foundation, no growth. No foundation, no vision. No foundation, we're stagnant.
I think 50 years is a start. We need to think even bigger and really shoot for the stars.
I'm looking forward to the next 50 years to see what they're going to do next because they continue to set the bar.
There is something in the SickKids culture that continues to drive and propel us forward. There is always work that is unfinished. There is always work to be done. There are always ideas to get behind.
They've been around for a long time, and they've helped so many people over the years, and I think it's great what they're doing. They should keep going. Help more kids.
Congratulations, SickKids Foundation, on your 50th anniversary. From every child you provided care for to every doctor and researcher you supported, we celebrate you and a better world.